Will Islam Makhachev and Umar Nurmagomedov continue the Dagestani Dynasty? That is a question on everybody's mind. Nobody realizes that this is a dynasty, but guess what, boys? It is. We got Khabib, you got Islam, you got Umar, you got Usman too, who actually counts. So Islam Makhachev, that's the man of the hour. He is fighting Arman Tsarukyan, and the question really is going to be for this fight, will Arman Tsarukyan dethrone Islam Makhachev? That is the biggest question going into this fight, and it relies on a few key factors. One, Islam hasn't looked amazing in his last few fights. Remember the Dustin Poirier fight? He really, he let Dustin Poirier stay in it for too long, and he fought through a lot of adversity, sure, and that's what you want to see against somebody that's, supposed to be special. I want to see Islam put in these hard positions, and Poirier put him through that. Alexander Volkanovski in the first fight put him through that. So he seems vulnerable, but if you want to know the honest truth, guys, I don't actually think he's that vulnerable. I don't. I think Islam Makhachev is as good as it gets. He's the real deal. He's as advertised. So what's his approach going to be against Arman Tsarukyan? Well, Arman hits heavy. We know that. Islam's been knocked out before. We know that. He's been kind of hurt before, maybe. We don't really know. But there's that too. So if we know that Arman's going to, Islam's got great striking, okay? If we know Arman's coming in there to bang and knock him out, which would be a huge statement on Arman's part. Goodness. I want to see more cage wrestling from Islam. Push Arman Tsarukyan against the cage. Push him there. Drag him through the literal depths of the river, what is it, Styx? The river, the Greek thing, Styx, yeah. Drag him through Hades itself. Make life miserable. This won't be entertaining for fans, no. But guess what? That's what he's going to have to do to win. Now, he could go out there and spark Arman, or, maybe get behind on the scorecards early, but then Arman, who gets tired in fights, we saw it against Charles Oliveira, kind of let Islam back into it and maybe even finish him. Remember how close that third round, the last 10-20 seconds was to Charles Oliveira finishing. Now, Islam's not as prolific of a finisher as Charles Oliveira is, sure, but the opportunity is there. Another thing that I really like that Islam does well is his low kicks. He's got really good low kicks, or he's got really good kicks in general. His rear leg is phenomenal. He finds the body a lot, and we're going to be talking more about the body in a little bit, right? But he finds the body a good percentage of the time. I need to see Islam kick the low kick. Now, we know that Arman Tsarukyan has been training to counter the low kick and counter the body kick. We saw it against Beneil Dariush. We saw how good he was against southpaws, which Islam is. He's going to need to put these at the end of combinations, okay? He's not going to be able to throw naked low kicks. He's got 1-2 low kicks. Sure, that's great. You can't just throw naked low kicks, though. It's not going to work that way. It's not going to fly, Clyde. That and not being afraid to wrestle, and this is going to be a real big theme of what we talk about today, talking about control over submission, right? We want to control fights, and we want to make sure that, once we get fights to the ground, once we can control fights on the ground, we can then start to work. And he's generally shown that. Think about that one round that everybody loves from Alexander Volkanovski, where Volkanovski punching him behind. Come on! That whole stick, that was cool from Volkanovski, but Makhachev was controlling him and winning that round. I worry that Makhachev, he's at the top. He's the best fighter in the world. I worry that he I don't see him losing that grind set necessarily, but I think that he can. As a matter of fact, tell you what. Book of the week, Young Lions by Judd Reed. It's a karate book, okay? But this guy, in Young Lions, Judd Reed, Australian guy, one of Masoyama's first, Australian guys or what have you. Link will be in the description, by the way, if you're new here. But this book right here is fantastic read. It's about his training for the 100-man Kumite, where he fights 100 people in one day. And he goes in there, he talks about, Judd Reed that is, he talks about the desire to not just win fights, but to be better, be a better Karateka version of himself. And I have a feeling that's kind of the mindset that Islam Makhachev brings to these fights. I don't think he's going to let that kind of stuff get to him, if that makes sense. Now, let's talk about Arman Tsarukyan for a second. Again, one more time. Judd Reed. Really good read. Young Lions, Judd Reed. Check it out. It's fantastic. Link in the description. But Arman Tsarukyan, the first thing we know that Arman needs to do as an orthodox fighter is fight the jab. Islam likes to start a lot. He's a southpaw, so he's punching with his right hand. He likes to start a lot of his combinations off with the jab. Warranted, he has a fantastic jab. I mean, he has a really good jab. So if he can go and control the jab, hit the body, that's something that Dustin Poirier had a lot of success with. So when we're talking controlling the jab, you know, the classic southpaw versus orthodox option. The lead hand, whoever's hands on top wins. And that's not always true in like an MMA, like, oh no, yours is under, look at me going for a takedown. But like Arman's good enough in the clinch to where he can stop takedowns and sprawl. It's going to be a hard night for Tsarukyan, and he's going to have to prove himself in this fight. He's going to have to show how good he is. So first, we know that, you know, hit the body, fight the jab. We also know that he managed to, you know, with Beneil Dariush, who has another good open side body kick. That's that rear right leg or that rear left leg of Islam Makhachev kicking the body. So if you think about it, their feet are facing forwards. Their bodies are kind of at an angle like that. And he hits the body with the leg. That's the open side is what they call that. He's going to have to catch these kicks. He's going to have to step in on it. This is something that Umar Nurmagomedov does really well. More on that. He's going to have to step in, hit the body of Islam Makhachev. So fight the jab so he can't get his attack going. Fight the lead hand. Be ready. Check the low kicks. Check the body kicks. Brace him. Don't let him go in there and blast your body to where you get to leaning to your left side because he's an orthodox fighter. And then Islam's like, oh no, high kick. Remember Volkanovski? Oh, that shit hurts me so bad. Oh, Volk. Like I imagine myself like with the Interstellar meme where it's like Matthew McConaughey going back, looking at himself like, no, Murph, don't let me go, please. That's me with Volkanovski in that 13-day notice fight with Islam Makhachev. So another thing he's going to have to do is really good ring awareness. I actually can say that word now. I always have wing awareness. Like I can't talk. Really good ring awareness for Arman Tsarukyan, because if he gets against the cage, Islam can shoot, and he shoots fast. I fully expect Islam Makhachev to win this fight, though. I'm just going to be real with you guys. I fully expect Islam to win. But at the same time, like, Arman, what he's shown and what we've seen built off of that fight with the first Alexander Volkanovski fight, with the Dustin Poirier fight, like, what we've seen there shows us that, you know, he's not invincible. Islam Makhachev, that is. He's not invincible, so we can beat him. Or I'm not going to beat Islam. Islam, you can give me a baseball bat and a head start, and I couldn't beat up Islam Makhachev. I mean, let's be real. But Arman can beat him, you know. I truly believe that. But I don't know if he is ready to beat him yet. And he's 30 years old, so he might never be ready to beat him. So this fight, yeah, great. Fantastic fight. The best fight on the card. Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. But second fight on the card, or second to last fight on the card. Whoo! Umar Nurmagomedov and Merab Dvalishvili. This is Umar's time to shine. And if you think about it, this has been a long time coming. This is how they treat great bantamweights now. This is how they treat great bantamweights. You know, oh, here's somebody. You could beat him. You could beat him. Here's best cat, Almakhan. Here is, who does Sean O'Malley fight coming up? I don't even remember. You know, bunch of Andrei Sukhomsov. Like, here's a bunch of guys that you can beat. Okay, here's a guy, hard guy. Here's Corey Sagan. Here's Pereira. Now you're in a title shot. Merab had to earn it. Umar, he earned it for sure beating Corey Sandhagen, but he didn't take the hard way. Merab beat, what, 3-4 champions in a row? Absurd. So, what my read for this fight is, and a lot of y'all might get mad at me, but I don't know if Merab has a shot in this fight. He was out-wrestled by the old Henry Cejudo, like ancient Henry Cejudo in the first round. You remember he like wrestled him, and Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist. He's old, but he's a gold medalist. And we saw a lot of things in that fight that made me think like, man, Umar can wrestle. And we saw against Corey Sandhagen, he really does know how to extend sequences and flow, if you want to call it flow, that magic word. He really does have to flow. But what's kind of stuck out to me in this fight, in the build up to this fight, is the fact that like Merab seems angry. You know, like he seems very mad at Umar for, you know, there's a whole bunch of cultural problems between Russia and the country of Georgia, sure. Like there's a whole bunch of cultural problems. But like if he goes out there and like think about Arman Tsarukyan in the first fight. We didn't talk about this, but like think about him in the first fight with Islam Makhachev, how hectic he fought and how, you know, crazy his pace was, and he gassed. Now Merab doesn't gas, but you know, if he's not getting his way, he will slow down. If he fights at a frantic pace that he gets mad about, man, like it could be a bad night for him. Which would suck because this fight's so good on paper. It's so good on paper. He's going to have to come out with good body work and good volume, but he's not going to want to go out there and look to take his head off, look to force takedowns, you know. Go get shots, and if you can't get the shots, oh well. But he's going to have to go in there, Merab that is, he's going to have to go in there and fight his fight. Not like, think about it, Merab's not outgunned in the wrestling department. A Sambo silver medalist from Georgia, so we know he's done judoka, you know, he's done it all. We just need to see him fight composed. If he goes out there and he's sloppy, we're going to have a third champion from Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, which it's not a bad thing. You know, he's made some very good fighters, and we've got to see some special things out of him. Umar, though, needs to be ready to chain wrestle. Think about the Corey Sandhagen fight. You know, Corey loved the Granby roll when he got taken down, and Umar was able to extend those, and you know, Corey managed to wrestle out of a lot of the positions and had some really good get-ups, but a lot of the fight, like Corey, let's go over to the web real quick. I want to pull up UFC stats because I want to see how much control time Umar racked up against Corey Sandhagen. All right, and what was crazy was the 5 takedowns, 5 minutes of control time. Okay, so that may not seem like a lot, but that's a full round. Like right here, guys, if you can see, I got to get the aspects of this switched up, but that bottom 5-11, that is 5 minutes of control time for Umar Nurmagomedov, and that is incredible in a 5-round fight too. Like, that's great, and he looked good going 5 rounds. Don't get me wrong, he looked tired, and that's something that Merab can keep, you know, in the back of his head. But man, he does a good job of stepping down the side of kicks, hitting the body. We talked about that, you know, with Arman Tsarukyan needing to do that against Islam, but Umar Nurmagomedov does that very well, and you can bet that he's been training Islam for that too. But like, he needs to step down the body, hit the body of Merab Dvalishvili, hit it over and over and over, and he can leave UFC 311 as the champion. The kicks, he needs to kick, open side body kick, high kick the legs, hurt his mobility. You start going to the calf, to the outside, so it'd be a step up for Merab if he's in orthodox, right? So it'd be a step up, you know. He needs to be ready to adapt on the ground. He needs to be able to kick. He needs to do all this stuff. And if he can do this, again, like I said, he can leave as a champion. Jamal Hill, speaking of champions, how about the Alex Pereira Victims Alliance, Victims Club, whatever you want to call it. Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka, battle of the who got beat by Alex Pereira worse. It's probably Jamal Hill. Okay, so a big problem going into this fight. We're not going to talk about this one a lot because it's not that much to it. You know, Hill's coming off of that surgery that really messed up his leg. The ACL or MCL, one of the two, when he was playing basketball, if you don't remember, that's why he's been out for so long. Whereas, Yuri's had horrible activity. I mean, it's a bit against Alex Pereira, sure. He did have the win over Alexander Rakic, and that's something that Hill can look to. But, like, Prochazka's taken a beating, and he looked okay in that Rakic fight, right? Like, and I rate Rakic higher than most people. I'll be honest, I do. I think Alexander Rakic is a quality fighter, a decently good fighter that people hate on, okay? So, the two losses to Pereira, after the first one, I was like, man, he's coming back way too soon. Rakic is going to work him up. But, like, you look at Prochazka in that fight, and he's not bad. And the volume just overwhelms Rakic, and he just eventually gets the win. So this time, Yuri Prochazka gets to go against a guy who, former champion, sure, but he hadn't fought in over a year. Like, when's the last time he fought? I don't even know. It was that Pereira lost UFC 300, so April, so almost, 12, not 8 months? 8 months he's been out? It might be too early for him to come back. We also know that Hill has horrible footwork, and that's an opportunity for Prochazka's weird style to mix him up. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of faith in Jamal Hill. And he's probably going to go on a 30-minute Twitter rant about him being doubted on my podcast, which would be the stupidest thing ever on my show because, like, who am I? You're the former champion. Go act like it. Go be like it. You're actually a really good fighter, Hill. You got your problems, but you're still a really good fighter. So I lean Yuri Prochazka pretty heavily in this. I probably picked Yuri, but the fight light heavyweight just sucks now, man. And it used to be amazing. You used to have like John Jones, DC Gustafson, Anthony Johnson. You had all these great fighters in it, bro. And you were like, this is the best division in the UFC. Now it's bantamweight. It was lightweight after that, like. The Conor McGregor run and all that. But now it's bantamweight. I don't know, man. Like, light heavyweight's just kind of falling off a cliff, and I've fallen out of love with it. So what? Heavyweight's more intriguing to me, and that's wild. Beneil Dariush and Moicano wants money! This is an interesting fight. This is a very interesting fight, because every time Renato Moicano has taken a big step up in competition, he's come up short. Think about that for a second. Oh, I'm slapping my microphone here. Think about that. Every time Renato Moicano has a good fight lined up, he loses. But, like, I'm looking at the way... Actually, let me show you guys, because I have that opportunity to do now. So this is Moicano's Tapology page. Tapology, go check it out. So we go down here. His last loss was Rafael dos Anjos. Now, that was a short notice fight. Is that notated in the dos Anjos thing? Because, let's see. Yeah. So, March 5th, he was supposed to fight Fiziev. And COVID-19. Rafael Fiziev had COVID. So, he was out in that fight. 2 weeks notice. Took a hellacious beating. But since then, he's been like Brad Riddell, Drew Dober, Jalen Turner, and Benoit Saint-Denis. Before that, he fought Rafael Fiziev. Round 1 knockout. He had an opportunity to fight Jose Aldo and Korean Zombie. Lost to that. Brian Ortega lost to him. So every good fighter that Moicano fights, wrong page, every good fighter that he fights, he loses to. And that sucks. So this is a moment for Beneil Dariush to be like, hey, I need to be ready for this. And we know Beneil Dariush, he hasn't fought since, it's been a while. Since his last loss to, what was that, Oliveira? I think it was Oliveira. But anyways, no, I got to look it up now. It's going to bother me. Hold on. Let's go back, look it up. I'm not even going to swap over for you guys. It was Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300. UFC 290. 2-something. I should have gone over. Oh, it was a fight night. Dariush versus Tsarukyan. Okay. Yeah, so, it's... His time off hasn't been good. He's on 2 straight losses. And Moicano's been on a tear. He's been on a really good run. I mentioned Jalen Turner. His last win was his best win over Benoit Saint-Denis. He managed to trick Benoit. Like, Benoit's a southpaw, so he threw that body kick. Again, open side body kick. Moicano manages to catch it. He runs around. He gets the takedown. He's going to need to do that against Beneil Dariush, his opponent this weekend at UFC 311. He's going to need to do that. And again, like Islam Makhachev, like we talked about, I think, with Umar Nurmagomedov, same thing. When you get the takedown, we're going to do control over submission. Position over submission. We got to control Beneil Dariush. We know he's fantastic off his back. We know his jiu-jitsu is great, but he's out of competition. So if you can get into a good spot like half guard, like he did against Benoit Saint-Denis, where he can drop these elbows over the top, man, I can really see, I can see Moicano winning this, which would be wild too. Be insane. Oh man, I'm really hoping for a Moicano title run, a title shot. That would be crazy. Just the memes themselves be fantastic. I do think Beneil's time off is going to hurt him here. He has a good while off, and he needs to be more active. But 2 straight losses via finish, I get it. You got to get out of there and take your time and get better. So let's see what else is on this card here. UFC 311. Oh yeah, Kevin Holland and Renato de Ritter. Where is that card at? I've got the wrong fight night pulled up, guys. Oh man, UFC 311. There it is. Kevin Holland and Renato de Ritter is the next one. Holland's looked horrible in his last few fights. Renato de Ritter has also looked horrible in his last fight against Gerald Meerschaert. But look at this Holland thing. This is going to really shock you. Roman Dolidze took him down. Jack Taylor beat him up. Don't mind that split decision. It's wrong. Michael Page hurt him. Oleksichuk caught him on one leg, knocked him down before that arm bar. Kevin's got some really good jiu-jitsu, but Renato de Ritter, man, he's just looked terrible since the Malakin fights. Remember, he went up to heavyweight to fight Anatoly Malakin and won, and got the snot beat out of him. And he's just been gun shy ever since. And against Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, he got hit in the face by Gerald Meerschaert, and it looked like, pillow-fisted Gerald Meerschaert. He doesn't hit the hardest. But pillow-fisted Gerald Meerschaert managed to hurt him and make him not want to engage. But Kevin Holland got taken down against Dolidze, and Roman Dolidze doesn't know how to take people down now. Remember, Holland hurt his rib in that fight. I don't know if that was partly to do with it, but I don't know, bro. Just doesn't make sense. Renato de Ritter did manage to catch the kick of Gerald Meerschaert again, catching the kick. It's the way. This is the way. Oh wait, I'm getting memes mixed up. Why do I insist on doing memes every video? It's weird. He caught the kick, got the takedown, went around back, choked him out. After he hurt him, really. But I can see that happening here against Kevin Holland, but I can also see Holland really teeing off on him too. So we'll see. We'll see what Renato de Ritter shows up. Let's go back to the card because, yeah. Bogdan Guskov was supposed to fight Johnny Walker on this card, and he pulled out. Guskov, everybody calls him other Anthony Smith because he looks like him. I mean, look at that mug. He looks actually a lot like Anthony Smith, a former kickboxer. Let's see. Where did he fight kickboxing? It doesn't show me on here. Former kickboxers, coming off a really good win over Ryan Spahn. Zach Pauga. That rear naked choke loss to Volkan Ozdemir, though, was rather embarrassing. Billy Elikana, I don't know anything about him. Has he beaten anybody that's worth anything? No. No, not even a little bit. At least he wasn't knocked out in his only loss. Peyton Talbot fighting Raoni Barcelos. Poor Barcelos, man, he's fallen off so bad. 18-5 now, but he was once the hardest man to fight in the division. I mean, he was terrifying. He lost a really close fight to Timur Valiev, who was a good win. Victor Henry came and gassed him. Umar, left hook, knocked him out. That's when everybody started really paying attention. But, like, he struggled like Christian Quilmes. Kyler Phillips beat him up. Like, if you put on the volume against him, like Peyton Talbot is maybe will do. You know, I could see Talbot getting out of there with a win. Talbot 9-0, really good fighter. If you don't know him, he's a fantastic person to watch. I don't think, I think Talbot can take this fight. I think he can knock out Barcelos, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ronald Barcelos goes out there and gets a win. Jailton Almeida is coming off his win at heavyweight over. It was a decent win, I remember. Alexander Romanov, first round choke, which was weird because Romanov was big and he struggled against Curtis Blades. Sergey Spivak he's fighting, and Spivak is nothing to write home about. My boy Zach Reese. Ooh, I love me some Zach Reese, baby. He fights like a guy with a mullet. He's fighting Azamat Bekov, 18-3 Russian guy, so that'll be an action fight. I look for Zach Reese to kind of go in there and do his thing. Has Bekov ever been knocked out? That's the question here, because if he hasn't, we might be in for something fun. Scarf hold choke, decision, split. Man, he's not bad. LFA fighter, really good hands, some ground and pound. This will be a barn burner, guys. This is one to sneaky watch, huh? The best fight on the card is Grant Dawson, Diego Ferreira. Dawson's coming off that big win at UFC, what was it, 302, 300. He fought a guy he shouldn't have been fighting, Rafa Garcia, you know, ground and pound. There's just a hellacious performance. Diego Ferreira, if you don't know him, you're missing out. Really fun fighter. He's old now. He's inching up on 40 years old. Let's see, how old is he? 39. So he's really struggled, but he's put some good fights on. Really scrambly fighter. Somebody you don't want to miss. Karol Rosa versus Aylin Perez. Don't care. Rinya Nakamura is back. Now, you look at this 9-0 fighter and the 9-0 fighter named Peyton Talbot. There's a lot of hype behind Peyton Talbot, but these guys are in a division together. Pay attention, because Rinya Nakamura is Olympic or a freestyle wrestler. I don't remember if he was an Olympian. But freestyle wrestler from Japan, 9-0, has looked real good. Carlos Vera's a weird fighter. A lot of heel hook attempts in that fight, but like he's got knockouts now. Yeah, he's getting real good with his hands. A 33-second knockout in his first UFC fight. He beat Fernie Garcia in his second, and Carlos Vera in his most recent one. That's a fun fight. Watch Rinya Nakamura. He's fighting Muin Gafarov. I don't know how good this guy is, but it's Rinya Nakamura. Look for him to wrestle him to death. Ricky Tercios is fighting Bernardo Sopaj. And then Tiger Ulanbekov and Clayton Carpenter. So overall, all in all, you know, like this has been a fun card, a really good card. It's going to be interesting and something that you want to see. Now, I am currently in the process, or I will be tomorrow, filming Fight Finders 6 with LSU Wrestling Club. Catch up on it right here. Fight Finders episodes 1 through 5. This playlist right here, we have all 5 episodes, from Karate Combat to the World Wushu Championships to Bare Knuckle Boxing Champion to the history of Bare Knuckle and Bare Knuckle MMA. All of that. Fight Finders, it's my baby, and you guys got to check it out.